No, we just talked about it last night at practice. We were like, that's the next thing we need to do.
Oh, so what's the practice situation for you guys now? Do you in someone's basement or how does?
So our bassist Mark, his office building where he works, he as a joke asked the his like office manager, like, hey, could we practice in like the basement like conference room?
Yeah.
And I guess she was like, yeah, whatever. And he was like, oh, I wasn't expecting you to say yes. And so all of our stuff is like stored in like a janitor closet there.
No way.
And so like amps and drum kit and stuff. So we just like come in with guitars and pull everything out and practice, put it all back. It's like
Holy
super
cow.
convenient.
And this is like after hours or whatever, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
That's so cool. How many times a week do you guys practice?
We so it sort of ebbs and flows. We don't like to go longer than like I would say like a month or so without practicing.
Sure.
But if like so we have the gig on the 18th, we'll do like once a week, and then as we get closer, we'll do like twice a week, and then like before it, we'll probably do 3 practices that week before it.
Oh wow.
So it's like almost like a ramp up.
You're a ramp up.
Yeah.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah.
Wow. So and then you guys are all Virginia based or?
Yep, all of us.
Nice. And then you practice, where is it, like Falls Church or Fairfax?
It is in Reston? No.
Oh, okay.
Herndon? Maybe?
This sort of general area,
Yeah,
actually.
over here.
Oh, wow. I would love that because I have to go to Seven Drum City and then...
Oh, you guys practice all the way there?
Well, on Tuesdays. And then
okay.
on Saturdays, we'll do Barker Rebar and Falls Church.
Okay.
Which is bad. It isn't bad. It's like 30 minutes from here. But yeah, DC on a Tuesday night is so annoying.
Horrible.
That's like, honestly... I don't want to force, because 3 of the guys live in DC and one of them lives in Alexandria. I don't want to force them to drive out to Sterling, but if I do get this house and we're all like, and I have a really sick like basement, it's like, guys, like now we have to practice at my house.
Yeah,
that would be so amazing. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But yeah. Anyway, but damn. So let's see. I'm trying to think of like where we should start because there's so much that I want to talk about. So, doing military stuff. Okay. Well, I guess let's just kind of start with like your musical journey. Like, when did you start? I don't know. Like, because you sing and you play guitar.
Mm-hmm.
When was like your first sort of foray into music?
Okay. My whole family is like really musical. My dad got a music degree and he played trumpet, and then my mom sang in like choirs and stuff her whole life.
Oh, no way.
And she's like got a really beautiful voice. So that was always sort of around. And then all of my siblings, everybody at least plays an instrument and or sings. And then so I always thought guitar was really cool and stuff like that, and like toyed around with the idea of playing it. But there was the specific moment when I was like, I want to learn, is I was watching just YouTube videos. And do you remember, have you ever heard of Never Shout Never?
Never Shout Never?
It was like like the emo scene kid like poster boy in like 2009.
Okay.
So I was listening to his music and there's like a live video on YouTube of him just playing acoustic guitar at like, I think it's like a record store or something like that.
Okay.
To a whole like maybe like 75 people or something like that, all like sitting down, like crisscross applesauce, and he's playing acoustic guitar.
It's like, is it like a So Far Sound show or something like that? Or
no, I think
don't know
it was
what that is, but
a different vibe. I think it was like he just came in to do like a couple acoustic songs as like promo or something.
Okay.
And he's like singing and everyone's singing along and he looks like he's having the time of his life. And I was like, I want to do that. And so then I started like learning guitar. And I've always listened to like metal and stuff. And ever since I was little, I'd like steal my brother's CDs from his like CD tower. And one day I took Children of Bodom one down, which is one of my favorite bands.
Yeah.
And the guitar on there is so good and like so difficult. I just remember being like, okay, I want to learn how to play guitar, and then listening to that and being like, oh, there's a gap here. And so I started from baseline of like Jack Johnson bar chords and just like whatever, and then slowly built up to being able to actually play metal.
Oh, okay. So when you say there's a gap, you were like, I want to play this, and you were like, I
cannot.
It will take me a long time.
Yeah. I was like, this is going to take years. So.
Oh, that's funny. Wow, it's like Dreams and then shut down.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Oh, man.
I was like, oh, I cannot do that.
Wow. So how is that where you're like, oh my God, I'm listening to Children of Bodom, I'm listening to emo stuff, and then you're like, wow, I can't play that, so now I have to play, and this is no shade to Jack Johnson.
No worries.
But like, now I have to play Jack Johnson, which is totally different vibe.
It definitely. different vibe, but I feel like it was so useful because it like forces you to be like, okay, all I can do is play 4 chords and sing along. And so I like had to do that. And so I think it created like a really good foundation maybe for like playing and singing at the same time, which I guess is a struggle for a lot of people.
And you were doing that like almost right away.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. So it wasn't like you started playing guitar, started singing. You were just like, doing both of that is what I want to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, wow.
Yeah. It like the two just like went hand in hand. And so it's probably why I still do it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just glued to a microphone stand pretty much because I can't move. But
Yeah. There's plenty of bands that do that. Did you tell me once that your mom was a professional singer or?
Not professional, but she's really, really good.
Yeah.
She's I don't, what do you call it? Concert soprano or she's a soprano.
Wow.
And so she's always sang in like local choirs and like choral groups and stuff like that. She shreds. She's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And how many siblings do you have?
I'm the youngest of 4, and then I have a half brother, so the youngest of 5.
Wow. And they all are musicians too.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like oldest one played bass guitar, sister did like musicals, next brother played trumpet and did like marching band and stuff and played guitar.
Wow.
And brother immediately older than me plays drums.
Huh.
Yeah.
So you kind of, when you were kind of growing up in a family like that, was there a pressure to do music, or was it just sort of like, oh no, this is just something I'm going to do too?
There was never pressure. It was like, oh, everyone just does this. It was really, really cool. My mom did force me to do marching band for a year. I didn't like that. But other than that.
And what did you do in marching band?
Trumpet.
Okay.
Yeah. So it wasn't, there wasn't an expectation. There wasn't like any kind of outside pressure. It was pretty much just like a space where you were able to do that. And I think it was pretty cool and unique that everyone was naturally able to do it.
Yeah. Wow. So how old were you when you decided, okay, I'm going to pick up the guitar and you're learning Jack Johnson songs and singing? You're doing both at the same time.
Yeah.
How old were you?
Freshman year of high school. So like 14 maybe, 14 or 15.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good time to start.
Yeah. Good. Just sitting in my room playing by myself. It was great. But yeah, since then, and like the music that I was listening to always stayed like, there's like I don't know what you call it, like a bass line that I always like stick around, which is like metal. And then it's just like the other stuff is like sort of thrown in, like what like the natural like skill tree progression, I guess kind of happened. Like, so Jack Johnson to then like John Mayer to like a bunch of other blues players like Jimi Hendrix, and just slowly getting like more technical along the way. And then like playing Metallica and etc. all the way to like, I don't know, progressive metalcore and stuff like that. And till whatever I play now.
Yeah. When people ask you guys, like, what do you sound like? What do you tell them?
I internally panic.
I know. Do I brag about myself, or do I be realistic? But what is realistic? Like, I don't know.
I think somebody said that he would describe it as alt rock, and I was like, I don't even know what that means, but all right.
Yeah.
And then my buddy Nick told me that we sound like Godsmack's first album.
Okay.
Which I was initially offended at, but then I was like, it's actually kind of true.
No way.
And then
do you not like Godsmack?
No, I do. I just what I hear in my head, I think sounds so different to what that is. But then when I like compared them 1-to-1, I was like, these are actually incredibly close. And then another person told me, you know the band Royal Blood?
Yes.
You guys.
I was actually thinking that when I was listening to it today.
Oh.
I was listening to your stuff and I was like, I am getting a little bit of Royal Blood vibes a little bit.
Yeah. So there's that. But at the same time, it's everyone in the band has like such different influences. So like I am mostly like metal, right?
Yeah.
And then Mark plays like Breaking Benjamin, kind of like rock, closer to like rock than like metal stuff. And then Chris is basically a hip hop drummer. Christian, the new guitar player that just joined, he loves jam bands. So somehow mixing all that together creates what we have going.
Yeah.
So,
that's fantastic. You know, I wonder if the hip hop kind of influence from the drumming kind of contributes to that Royal Blood sound a little bit, because I feel sometimes when I listen to them, I almost get like a disco drumming vibe, because you've got these really heavy riffs, but then they play these really jammy grooves, and it's like you put those, like I'll tell John to play like a disco beat when we're jamming or something, and it sounds, I feel like it kind of sounds like Royal Blood. I don't know.
But there's like a constant, not battle as if it's like a bad thing, but like I'll write something that I'm like in my head, I'm like, this is going to be super heavy. This is going to be sick. And then I'll write like some placeholder drum beat behind it with like a drum machine and then give it to Chris. And then he'll be like, okay, like I have an idea what I want to do on drums. And then he'll put it together and send it back to me. And he's like, it's like swung now. And it's like not like just straight like quarter note or whatever. And I'm like, oh, you have now turned this into something completely different, which is nice and really cool and refreshing. But at the same time, there's like an internal want to just be like super, super heavy. But he like checks it. So that's good.
No, that's cool. And honestly, like that's one of the great things I find about having band members is if you allow yourself to kind of kill your babies in a certain sense, or just sort of like give up maybe like a controlling mindset, then it turns, I really do think it turns into something better, because you're getting kind of like a different, you're adding new elements that you wouldn't have before. And then you get something that's newer, in fact. Because you guys, like when I listen to your music, there's elements of things that I recognize, but I don't, it's not like, oh, this just sounds exactly like X or Y. You know what I mean? And I think that's a good thing, because I think this isn't always the case, because obviously there's plenty of musicians out there where it's, or bands where it's one guy who's kind of like the mastermind, and that's fine. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. But I don't know. Like if you can kind of make it a little unique in that way, I think that's great. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it definitely like prevents it from like getting stale. And every time I feel like maybe it's drifting too far away from like what I wanted, like kind of clutching on to like that original idea. It's just nice to have like basically decision by committee of like the other three guys or whatever being like, no, this like does sound better. So that's comforting. And at the end of the day, even if I'm like, no, it totally doesn't, I'll like go back and listen to what we did or whatever. And I'll be like, this is actually so much better. Yeah.
That's awesome. So that's really great that you can have that kind of perspective. Your drummer's name is
Chris.
Chris, that's right.
CPZ.
CPZ.
That's what we call him as a joke.
What is that in reference to something?
His last name is Peel, so Chris Peel. And then, so he rapped in high school.
No way.
And his rapper name was CPZ, but he spells it CPZ, just the letters, pronounced CPZ.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's funny. Does he still rap at all, or
he still can? He's really good. I don't know if he's working on stuff in his like spare time or whatever. But we covered "Suga Suga" by Baby Bash one time, and I was like, Chris, you're gonna rap. And so I made him. I don't know if I made him. Like, I could be taking credit for a lot of it right now, but he like had to get the drum beat down and be able to rap over it at the same time.
Oh,
and
wow.
he can do it. It's kind of sick.
That is very cool. Yeah, singing and playing drums. Yeah, I always thought singing and playing bass was hard enough, but guitar seems more suited for that. Cool. Where are we going from? Okay, so you're learning how to play guitar. You're learning how to sing. Did your mom help you with vocals at all, or was this sort of like a self journey?
It was more of a self journey. Just her being around and singing all the time taught me a lot of really healthy habits, I think. So she would always warm up before she sang. Like even for fun, she'd do like a couple scales or like whatever, and then sing like whatever song she was going to do like around the house. But also a few times she would get like a piece of music for like a performance, and I'd hear her in her room, like just like with a keyboard. If she couldn't do like a run or like a couple notes or whatever, she'd just play each one individually on the keys, sing the pitch, sing the pitch, and then just slowly build up, like matching the pitch. And so I was like, oh, that's really cool. Like it's the same concept of like slowing down a riff on guitar to a metronome, I guess. She was just doing the same thing, I guess, in a different context. And so I was like, oh, you can actually work over like a hurdle. Maybe it's not your vocal ability, it's just how much you've practiced that one individual thing. So a lot of stuff like that was really cool to pick up on. And she a few times has been like, oh, when you sing, you should be using your diaphragm, or like maybe that vowel needs to be a little rounder, or like whatever. Every once in a while, but never anything like direct instruction.
So you never got any formal singing lessons? It was just sort of osmosis from your mom?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, that's cool. That's
Yeah.
cool. Wow. It's kind of funny actually how some little things like that, those are things that teachers will teach you
Oh, really?
to be, just from what I've heard and taking lessons myself, those are things teachers will teach you, just like, oh yeah, like you need to know that. Whereas like you kind of just picking up that organically. Yeah, it sounds like you probably learned a lot of things sort of organically, which is really cool.
That's pretty sick.
Actually.
Shout out, Mom.
Yeah, no kidding. Did you ever struggle with any like voice hurting or doing or like hurting yourself when like experimenting or starting out or anything like that?
Yeah, me and screaming have a really difficult history.
Yeah. Talk to me about that. I'm actually really curious because not to get too much on a tangent, but a couple of the different guys in the local scene who do really great screams, like I'll ask them, and everybody's kind of journey is a little different and experience, and so I'm kind of curious because
so if we bring it back to Children of Bodom, his
Yeah.
scream is the most probably so unhealthy. Like I don't even think he probably could. I mean, he's passed away now, Rip Alexi Lyle, but it's like death metal, like really really harsh, like almost like black metal, like screaming. And so there's no way it's like healthy. But I mean, he did it a whole career, so that's like what I thought I wanted to sound like, and I just couldn't do it naturally. And so I started watching a bunch of YouTube videos because, interestingly, around that time, so another band I really like is called Trivium.
Yeah.
And their lead singer, Matt Hafey, blew his voice out. It was like a whole thing. I think they had to like cancel a tour for it because of
Holy
it.
shit, okay.
And so all of a sudden I was like, oh, that's a thing that can happen. You can just like have your voice just go. And so I was like trying to approach it like really carefully and methodically. So I'd watch a bunch of YouTube videos and like try and copy what they're doing. And of course this is in a bedroom with other people in the house. So I'm trying to be quiet, which probably also isn't like super healthy. And I figured out like two kind of ways of doing it. One that I ended up being the way that I do it now, and one that is just like all just squeezing the crud out of my diaphragm like really really hard.
Okay.
And it makes me like almost pass out. And so I've almost done that. Like I've almost screamed like that live a couple times and had to
wow.
like really quickly be like, oh no, we're not doing that. But I couldn't even tell you like practically what I'm doing when I'm live screaming now. I just try and let it sort of happen. But I think the biggest thing for me is just being really warmed up. Like, I have been kind of afraid to like push my voice a lot and like learn, like more and more screaming. But I've found like a lot of comfort in if I know I'm warmed up, I know I'm not going to hurt my voice. So I'll just sort of like do whatever and like really experiment, and find what works. And so I'm still working on it, still trying to figure out, just like for consistency, like what I want it to sound like and stuff like that. I've tried fry screaming a little bit. And for a little while I thought that's what I was doing, and I don't think it is. So,
Really? Okay.
'Cause fry is like really quiet, right?
It's not as loud, I think,
Okay.
is what you're doing. Okay, not to skip ahead too much,
No, you're
but
good.
I'm listening to some of your tracks, and there's sometimes, hopefully, this is, it's definitely a compliment to you. There was a couple times listening to your scream, it kind of sounded like, it's like a yell scream, and it kind of reminded me of Corey Taylor.
Dude, interestingly enough, Corey Taylor is one of my biggest influences as far
Okay.
as like frontmen go. So
Okay.
that's actually a really big
No.
compliment. Thank
I
you.
was getting Stone Sour vibes. I was getting some Slipknot vibes with some of you, like listening, kind of trying to put a fresh listen today. When I was
Yeah.
like, if we're going to talk about, Please Knock in their music, like let me try to put some fresh ears on it. And I was like, like what is the vibe that I'm getting that I can't put a name on? Because I was thinking Royal Blood, I was thinking this other stuff, and I was like, Corey Taylor. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Now, that kind of there's like a yell scream that you're doing. It's not. It does not sound at all like a fry scream, which is sort of my comfort zone of screaming. And I'm very curious about this yell kind of scream thing because it's something that I don't think I really know how to do properly. Like I always get fry creeping in when I try to do that.
Okay.
So, I mean, even if you can't describe it, though, I'm still curious.
Well, I'm trying to think about it. Like calling it a yell is definitely closer. I think it starts with like not singing a note, right? Or maybe so I guess like singing a note and then almost backing away from it. So like maybe not less air, but moving the air slower, and then just sort of like I don't know how to describe tensing up like down here, like bracing your core a little bit or whatever.
Yeah, it's all the tension is low, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it always should be, obviously,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Try. Yeah, so probably that. Like it's very relaxed, I think. I just know that pushing is like not good.
Yes.
So I'm trying, and like these are all principles I think that go back to like Fry, but I feel like I don't know how to do it. So.
Yeah. I'm trying. So when you say you don't add a note to it, because one of the things that I think is really kind of cool about the way that you scream and the way that like Corey screams, and they kind of do this yell thing, is there's usually a note involved.
Okay.
But or at least it sounds like there is.
Yeah. I definitely am hearing a pitch when I am screaming.
And when you're recording, there's like a pitch there. Now, but you're not thinking pitch though when you're creating that sound.
No, I think maybe it just naturally falls at a certain pitch, and then all I'm thinking about is like adding texture to like whatever's coming out, if that makes sense.
I think so. Yeah.
Like this sounds like super convoluted and silly, but like adding like grit to it or less, I guess. And somewhere in there is like a sweet spot that feels comfortable and doesn't take a lot of effort. But I'm also battling that versus like if it sounds how I like want it to sound. It's like comfortability versus like the actual product. But I'm gonna overanalyze myself screaming now, like so much. Like when I'm practicing, this all I'm gonna think about is like, how am I doing this?
That's right. This is all just a way to just completely trap you in your own head when you're singing.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
You're just like, oh no, wait, how am I doing this? It's so funny though, because one of my biggest mentors, who really taught me how to sing, essentially, she was very interested in the science of the voice, and so she learned about the vocal cords from like scopes and like photography and like the biology of it. But it's when we be doing lessons, she literally would just describe things in terms of metaphors, like exactly like the way that you're doing. Because she said the way that we just understand the voice is just in terms of pictures and images. Like you think waterfall, you think like air rushing. You're not thinking about the science or the biology of these things. Like that's helpful for her to know that. So she can kind of know, maybe, I guess, diagnose when things are wrong. But when we're communicating, it's all like in pictures, like fluffy or soft. Like imagine like a peach in front of your, or this or whatever. Like, I don't even know, which is crazy to think that we're so symbolic as human beings, where it's like, even if we know the science behind it, we need to think in terms of like symbols.
Yeah. Have you seen that, I think it was a TikTok, the raise your ya thing? You know what I'm talking about?
I don't think so. I'm so bad with pop culture.
No, you're. I'm terminally online, so I wouldn't expect anybody to know all this. But like, it's a vocal coach like with a girl, and the girl like can't hit like whatever high note in like a show tune song or something like that. And so she basically is like, the line is like raise your something, and instead of that, she just says like ya to make her like. I think what she's trying to do is make her only do the syllable and like the mouth shape in order to do it. And then when she does that, she can just rip it and it's like perfect. And then she makes her go back and actually like sing it, and it sounds like really beautiful. And so that's interesting too, is like trying to think of, have you ever heard that like singing in terms of the syllables, not the actual word?
I think so. I think I know what you're talking about. When you say syllables, do you mean like...
I feel like that's not the correct
word
that I'm looking for.
Well, no. I think you are actually touching on it, because syllables is like if you were saying like magnificent, that's magnificent. That's 4 syllables. So you would have to da 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 da. But but it's not the word. It's you might go yeah instead, or that's more syllables than magnificent. But you know what I'm saying?
No, the like shape of whatever that vowel is. That's like taking precedence of that specific syllable of what you're singing. I think is what I'm trying to say.
Oh,
right?
Here's a great question, actually. Okay. What vowel shape would you say you're making when you are doing your screams? Or is there even a vowel shape?
I would say it's a rounder one, like O or U,
Okay.
or I guess oo or all, right?
Okay.
And then I think if I am trying to push it to sound a little more like distorted, I think I'm pushing it closer to an A. This is really interesting to think about.
Well, I just thought of it now when you were saying that some vowels help us for whatever. And so I'm wondering if maybe for screams there's like a gateway to a
like
vowel.
a similar one.
Yeah. 'Cause I know when I was first starting out and I had trouble with certain pitches or getting into mixed voice and stuff, my vocal coach would be like, let's try to make this instead of an E vowel, make it an E vowel or an A or something. And that was, I was like, it never even occurred to me to try different vowels to utilize that sort of a thing.
Yeah, for sure. I that happened recording one time. I was like, I forget what song it was. Might have been wasting time, but like there's like just a long held out note, and I was holding it and I couldn't stay on pitch, and I was like, oh, instead of, I think it was like an E shape, and instead of that I made it more like an O or something like that, and then all of a sudden I like vibrato was great, stayed on pitch like perfectly, and that was cool. That actually was like the little tweak that needed to happen. So
no way. Cool. What made so again, is this an osmosis thing you got from your mom or
not? That I think I've just watched so many like YouTube videos and stuff. So like a thing that happens is like I'll see a band and then I'll be like, oh, these guys are really good, or like a singer. And then I'll just like gather as many like interviews as I can find and just like watch them. And then a lot of times if during those they'll like ask them stuff about singing, I guess I've just picked up. But it's really not, I've never like, I guess I have just sort of like sat and like looked up instructional videos on singing stuff.
Yeah. The internet is a really great place. My brother is playing in like a couple different cover bands in Florida, and he's never taken any lessons in his life, and he just was watching stuff online, and he's like fronting a cover band down there, and I just watched a video of him recently, and it's amazing how much better his voice has gotten just by practicing in his room probably and watching some of these videos. I mean, the amount of resources online, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I feel like you can learn it. Like most of what I know in guitar, I've never taken a guitar lesson. It's all internet. Yeah.
You are a self-made musician in every way.
I think it's just not having the resources or like money to like take lessons or anything like that.
Wow.
So,
wow. Don't let that stop you, kids. All right.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, Marty Schwartz on YouTube. That's where it all started.
Yeah. He's the guitar, right? Yeah.
He's like, hey, what's up? It's Marty. Yeah.
I feel like there's some controversy in the band about whether they like Marty or not.
Really?
What? Yeah. Just this isn't my interviewer, but it's just funny that like the guys in Chay, it's like there's always controversy about any given artist or movie or opinion. Just it's like John Mayer. It's like, do you love or hate John Mayer?
I remember because we were all talking about this. Yeah.
Yeah. Bob Dylan. Do you love or hate Bob Dylan? Like Timothy Chalamet. Do you love or hate Timothy Chalamet?
I don't have a Chalamet opinion.
Yeah, I know, but it's just hilarious. It's like we can't have anything in the band that isn't a controversial opinion. And I feel like even Marty Schwartz, which I don't know. I've been trying to learn how to play guitar. And I used a couple of his videos, and I was like, "Oh, this is like helpful." But apparently, that's controversial too. Oh, I hate him or I love him. That's so funny.
That's such a weird thing to like get fired up over.
One of the things that we need to do for content is like sit down and be like, "All right, what are all the polarizing things that we think?" And we're just gonna hash them out. I feel like that would be hilarious. Oh, cool. Well, I want to get back to actually, I had a really good question. So you're learning how to sing, you're watching videos, you're playing guitar. I want to be this guitar vocal performer.
Yeah.
Did you have any difficulty in finding your own voice by trying to emulate like other people? Like, was that an obstacle for you, or when trying to find your own voice, like how did you kind of discover your own voice, and what was that like? What was that journey like for you?
I think early on it's weird, right? Because I feel like the first doing it like I did, like quietly in my bedroom, right, or like when nobody's home. I feel like you don't really know what you sound like when you're singing like in full voice. And then when you get the opportunities too, like if nobody's home or like you're alone or something, it is never consistent, at least in the beginning, or it wasn't for me. And so I really didn't know like what it was going to sound like. And I was listening to a lot of like blues and stuff. And a lot of people have like almost an accent when they sing or like pronounce things certain ways. And so I like tried around with that, but it just didn't feel authentic or like whatever. And I remember the first time I recorded myself, hearing myself sing and being like, oh my gosh, this is horrible. Like, I feel like probably most people, the first time you hear yourself on tape, but
yeah,
I think that really helped me. Cause like, even this, like you can hear yourself talking, right? And that's really weird the first time you do it. And so I think it's getting used to that was really big for me. And then just, reps and reps and reps, I think is what did it. It bothered me for a while. I was like, what does my voice sound like? Does it sound good? Like, what are the good characteristics, or like, what should I change or whatever? And eventually I just stopped. And I think I recorded something and sent it to Chris, cause we've been sending each other music like our whole lives basically. I recorded something and sent it to him, and I would always be really cognizant of how my voice sounded in them, trying to make it sound like good or bad or whatever, or good and not bad and everything. And eventually I just was like, whatever, recorded it just like how I thought it was going to sound as like a demo, sent it to him. And I think that was the last time I ever really cared about it. Not in like it's important to still care, but like, I just was like, okay, that's what I sound like then. Sure. And just went with it.
Interesting.
But there's no like calculation really. I think maybe a little bit. There's definitely like influences play a big part, I think.
Sure.
Like you're saying, Corey Taylor. I wanted to say Alexi Lio, but like my screams don't sound anything like his. But yeah, it just kind of happened eventually.
There might still be some influence there, though. You know, potentially influence. God, I can't speak right now. There might still be some influence there because of just phrasing, right?
Yeah.
Lyric wise, and maybe even just the way that this person phrases their sentences or their voice that are probably influencing you. I mean, the artists that we love, we might not sound like them, but there's an attitude we probably pick up. I think.
That's another thing is like, have you ever given a lot of thought to like you as a front man? Like, did you sit down and think like, this is how I'm gonna be, or did you just like let it happen?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I know for me, I was extremely influenced by like the classic rock guys up to like Guns N' Roses is one of my favorite bands, and as much of a diva and an asshole Axl Rose is, his frontman style is like, oh my God, that's what I want. Like, I want to be, because I was a theater kid and I'm an actor. The stage performance aspect of rock music is one of the things that I love about it. So I was like, if you're the front man, like you have to be a showman. Like Steven Tyler's another one of my favorites too. So it's like guys like that. I was like, I want to be like that. My issue was I was trying to do that before I really knew how to sing properly. And so I was like, okay, I need to kind of take a step back and focus on the voice and do things healthily, and then reincorporate the things that I want to do, because I want to run around, I want to jump, I want to do all these things. And it's like, dude, like, A, you're not in that type of shape, but B, you also don't know how to sing properly. So there was kind of some intentionality about it, but I think for like the attitude in the voice, that's something that I feel like I'm still exploring a little bit.
Yeah. Dude, I just, the thought of being able to sing and not play at the same time is I love it. But like, I mean, I just feel like I can't like let go of playing guitar to do it. Like, it's a weird, like I can't have both. Right. But, I mean, so Corey Taylor, back to him.
Yeah.
He is my like biggest, like inspiration for like stage presence and like crowd control and just all of it.
He's another one that's all over the place.
He's insane. And then Matt Hafey from Trivium does like something, it's a different style, and he plays and sings at the same time. So he can't really do it, but he's almost like like when he tells a crowd like what to do, it's like an order. It's not like a like a like I don't even really know. Like it doesn't come from like a place of anger or whatever. It's like you will do this now, and so like that's kind of interesting, and all that sort of like bounces around in my head of like, oh, how am I going to act, or like how's this, like what's my vibe going to be, and I was really in my head about it, and eventually I just decided to just be like, I don't care, like it's like stop being in my head so much about it and just sort of like let it happen.
Yeah.
Which has been
you
way
have
more
to
fun.
get out of your own head too.
Yeah.
You can't premeditate. Even if you want to craft your stage performance, it can't all be crafting.
Yeah.
You have to kind of experiment and kind of let it go, right?
Yeah, for sure. A couple of beers helps me too.
Yeah. Hey, nothing like loosening up. I mean,
Yeah.
Can you check that camera really quick? What were we talking about? Talking about stage performance. Well, one of the things that I learned when I was in college, learning like about like directing and like acting, one of the things that was really revolutionary for me is one of my mentors. He was like, actors are immediately more comfortable on stage when they have like a prop. Like if you give them like a stick or anything, like they immediately, it's just like, okay, cool. Now I got like something to kind of play with. And you'll see like actors on stage or even in movies, like they might be playing with like a ring on their finger or something. It just kind of gives them what they call in the theater world business, right?
Oh.
I'm kind of nerd out here
No,
in terms of for a little bit, but like when you are directing a scene for stage, you want your actors to have what's called business because it makes the scene a little more, it gives it a little more energy, it gives it a little more action. And as human beings, like we're always doing something like folding laundry, maybe cooking, or, I don't know, shuffling papers even or something, right? So like when you put that into a theater scene, it just makes it a little more realistic. It gives it punctuates the action of what they're saying. So if I'm talking to you and you're not giving me the thing that I want, whatever I'm doing here is also going to punctuate the way what I'm doing with you. So like if I'm getting irritated because you're getting in my way and I'm folding laundry, say, like the way that I'm doing it is going like to accentuate what's it kind of happens naturally, and it kind of helps me fuel what I'm trying to get from you in the scene, right? Okay, so that was way too much of a tangent. But getting back to rock stage performance, I don't play and sing at the same time because I'm nowhere near any good as guitar, but I feel like the best frontmen and stage performance artists who sing and play something at the same time, they like use a little bit of that. They like the prop actually, I feel like it fuels their performance in a way that's not restricting.
Yeah.
And I actually feel like I've seen this from you.
Oh, really?
On stage. Yeah. Because we do this without even thinking. I mean, if you watch an old Humphrey Bogart movie, they just have them drinking and smoking all the time, if you notice, because it's just good business. It gives them something to do while they're acting. And it's not even just something to do. It just, it punctuates it. I can't think of like a really good word for it, but it magnifies whatever they're trying to do. And so it's like if you're playing a guitar or even a piano or whatever the hell, it's like I think that there is something that you can use to like fuel the performance you're giving off in a way that's it's just effective. I mean, I know for me, I have recently started just using a mic stand every time I sing instead of just the microphone.
I did notice that.
And the guys on stage were like, dude, you should keep doing that. And I kind of got that from Steven Tyler watching him. And then I was like, oh no, this is like the acting thing. This is like having a prop. It just kind of helps you be more dynamic, I guess. And so, yeah, I think that because we've seen, plenty of guys who are singing and playing, and it's just like, they're just very stagnant and they need to bring some life into the performance. But it's like, that's not because they're playing an instrument and singing. They would be just standing there and singing if they were just singing, or just standing there and playing if they were just playing. It's about like using what you have, I guess. So
gotcha. Yeah.
I don't know. That's my sermon for the day. And it's not even like a recommendation. Like it's just something that I see when I watch you and other people who are using their hands while they sing. It actually, I know that it can be used to the performer's advantage. So I don't know if that's something that you felt.
I Dude, I feel like I'm always conscious of like, am I moving around enough? Like, am I not, like, am I being too still? And being glued to the mic stand because I'm holding a guitar is like part of it. But having 4 people now is going to be way nicer. Just because even if everyone's moving a little bit, it feels like everyone's moving a lot more. But I like having to balance, like, do I step away from this mic stand to like play this part of a song and then like remembering, okay, get back there is like, in time to like sing the line is like, it's so, I don't know. I have so much trouble with that. But yeah, something interesting is a lot of guitar players in my brain like are insane and like run around the stage and like do whatever. But when I try and do that, I just suck at playing. And so I was like, something's going on, or like they look like they're like playing just the shit out of their guitar and like picking really hard and stuff. And then I thought that's like what I had to do in order to like look comfortable or like convey like what I want on stage. And when I go back and watch like these players live videos or like whatever, more often than not, they're just kind of standing there, or like they're like playing is really relaxed. It's just like the sound is somehow making you imply that they're moving around like way more, which is, I don't know, kind of interesting.
And I think too, like thinking about it from like a stage directing standpoint, not everybody's attention is always going to be on one person the entire time too. And I think kind of to your point where you're saying like, oh, if we've got like 4 different band members, there's going to be opportunities for different people to have the spotlight. And you know this as like a front man, like if we're doing like a breakdown, you can step away from the mic, and that gives people opportunity to maybe look at the drummer or the bassist. And then that gives like relief to the different actors on stage in a sense, where it's like these guitarists that you're talking about, where you're like, dude, the guy's like constantly moving around. And it's like, I don't know if this is conscious, but he's sort of being dynamic when he's in the spotlight. But when the focus is over here on the drummer or maybe the singer, he doesn't need to, because he's not in the spotlight in that moment, I guess, maybe.
Yeah. It's a good point. I mean, now I'm just like, do I move around enough? How do I scream? I have so much to analyze now.
I know. Now I'm like, oh no, am I making you overanalyze these things? But I think we do them organically though, because we know, it's like if the lead guitarist has a guitar solo, right? The focus is going to be on him and not the vocals or whatever. Or if there's like a breakdown, people are noticing the drummer a little bit more, like I think we organically know these things. We don't necessarily, rehearse that, you know what I mean?
Right.
But it kind of just happens because we're like, oh, he's doing the thing. And then the people on stage are looking at the guy doing the thing. The audience is going to look. You know what I mean? That's like a thing they tell us to do in stage directing. Like, hey, if you want the focus to be on this person, all the people on stage need to be focusing on that person. And then they'll look at that guy. And as a director, you're like, oh shit, I need to remember that. But it's like with music, like if that guy's doing something wicked ass cool, it's like, we're all going to just naturally look at him. The people on stage are, and then all the audience members are going to as well. So
a little bit more like fluid of a thing.
Yeah.
I also think do you like before you play, do you like get hype like as you're walking up to like start your set? Is it like right as you start or whatever? Have you ever thought about that?
That's a good question. 'Cause like, I feel like it's only been like within the past year that I felt like confident and comfortable getting up and singing in front of people without worrying that I'm tightening up too much from being like nervous.
Yeah.
Because it's, I started taking vocal lessons in 2019. So, and before that, I didn't really know what I was doing. So I feel like all my focus was just like, okay, am I loose enough so that when I get up on stage, I don't really have to think about it. But I feel like in terms of getting hype now, I guess like usually being backstage with 1 or 2 of the other guys and they're warming up and I'm kind of like, doing runs kind of by myself, and we're kind of thinking, and we're thinking about like what songs we're going to play and kind of going back and forth. There's kind of like this nervous energy. I think that helps. And then it's like, once we're up there, it's like time to go. So I think there's like the anticipation is a big part of that maybe.
Right on.
What about for you guys?
I asked Chris, drummer, one time, our drummer Chris. Sorry, that was a little rude. Chris, the drummer.
This drummer.
I asked him like how he handles like his nerves or whatever, and he's just like he's always like so chill and calm about everything. He's like, oh, I never really get nervous. I was like, oh, sick, dude. Must be nice. But for me,
I could see that from him. He's such a chill guy.
dude, I know. Even when he's like upset about something, it comes out as, do we want to do that? Like, and then like I'll like argue, yeah, like let's say, I'll be like, okay. Like it's just like so like calm and like non-confrontational. But what happens with me is I'm all logistics. I'm like, are the guitars in the right spot? Is all my pedals plugged in? Is he warmed up? Is like Chris's kit set up? Whatever. Did we set out merch? Like everything is all logistics. And then usually I'm not even thinking about like, I mean, I'm thinking about like the performance, but I don't get nervous at all until it's like less than 5 minutes to like start. And then all of a sudden it'll all just, and right about as I like put the guitar on and like am ready to play, I almost have to have like an internal conversation with myself where I'm like, remind myself like, hey, like you can be cocky and kind of like full of yourself. Like this is the time for you to do that. And that really, really helps me like lock in and just like, it's almost like one of those things where you're like wave your hand in front of your face and your emotion changes.
Yeah.
Like that's sort of like what it feels like. But it's just reminding, maybe it's like like an insecurity thing, but it's reminding myself like, hey, you're allowed to sort of be obnoxious right now. Like this is the time and the place for you to like do that.
Yeah.
Which is pretty fun. And then I'm just not nervous. Then it's all adrenaline.
That's such a great piece of just a reminder where it's like getting into character, right?
Yeah.
Where it's just like, no, dude, like this is the space for it, you know? That's awesome. That really is, and this is something you can probably relate to, about stage performance that I just love so much, where it really is the place where you just kind of let go of all that stuff.
Yeah.
And you can just, and you're just there and you're just like, all right, like I'm so free because everything that I'm holding back in regular life, it's just, oh no, I just let it go. It's amazing.
It's also like, it's your job, like to attract attention. You know what I mean? As a front man. And so that's really cool. Cause it's like all of it, like however like polite and proper and stuff like you are, and like just like general manners, it's almost like you're allowed to let those sort of dissolve a little bit and just and I'll like feel bad about that or like whatever and be like, no, this is, I have a job to do. I need to do this.
Yeah. You owe it to the people.
Exactly.
Out there,
yeah.
actually.
Like they're there for a show. You need to entertain them.
Yeah.
The best way you can entertain them is by like all but not give them an option to like look away basically. And it's just deciding how you want to do that.
Yeah. It's so funny because I think, I don't want to like put artists in a different category than like regular people or something like that. But it is interesting talking to people who aren't attracted to being on stage, and they'll ask me like, what is it about this that makes you want to do it so much? And it's, obviously there's a dopamine rush and it's a thrill and all that stuff. And tell me if this resonates with you, but there's an element of like, if I don't do this, there would be such a hole in my life.
100%. Somebody recently asked me, they were like, oh, like you're still like doing music stuff. And it's like, yeah. And they're like, oh, like what's like your, like end game of like, are like making it or whatever. And I was like, well, obviously, yeah, like that's the dream for everybody. But I was like, but even if like nothing happens, I will still do this forever. And it's just like, I have to, I don't know what else I would do. Like the songs and stuff that like I hear in my head, I have to put them down. Like then that's not even like the end of the story. Then I have to record them so other people can hear them, because that's still not the end of it. I have to then perform it to make, I need like all those things, right? Like I need the idea to be out, it to be documented, and to be able to perform it for somebody else. I feel like is just like, I can't not do it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, I always tell people, I don't want to make it sound like I'm being fake all the time or something, but in life there's ways that we have to act, right?
Yeah.
And when it's like, if you go to church, you have to act a certain way. And when you go to your job, you have to act a certain way. And then when you're hanging out with your friends, you have to act a certain way, right? Like if you were all formal and saying please and thank you when you're with your friends, it'd be like, why are you acting that way, right? But I always people will ask me, they'll be like, what do you like? How are you acting when you're on stage or whatever? And I'm like, when I'm on stage, that's the only time that I'm not acting.
That's sick.
You know what I mean?
That's such a good way of putting it.
And every time I speak to people who have a passion for this, they know immediately what I'm talking about, because that is the one time. I had a friend, she asked me, she's like, have you ever had to fake laugh on stage? And I was like laughing, and I was like, and I said that I said to her what I just told you now. I was like, when I'm on stage, I feel like that's the only time I'm not being fake.
Dang, dude.
And she was like, what is that supposed to mean? I was like, I don't mean that in a way like I'm always being fake, but you understand this. And it's like, when you're on stage, it's like, oh, now I can just let everything go, and I can be loud, and I can be angry, or I can be soft, and I can be vulnerable. It's like whatever the song needs me to be, I can just be that. And I can finally let all that go.
It's like the only acceptable place for an adult to have like an outburst.
Yes.
Like an emotional outburst or whatever.
Yes.
And it's really like you're so vulnerable at the same time, right?
Yeah.
Because everything's unfiltered. You can feel almost like sort of like naked, or like you're what do people say? Yeah, like you're giving a speech and you're naked on stage, or like whatever the fear dream people have.
Oh, like when you have dreams of like being naked in front of people.
It's like it can be intimidating and like sort of scary, but I feel like you have to just get past that in order to, I mean, like it goes hand in hand with that's the trade-off you're paying for your adult emotional outbursts. I feel like as people like watching and maybe not judging. I don't really know what I'm saying now.
No. I mean, you are making a point though, because it's so weird that this thing that we do, if it's done well, people want to see it, right?
Yeah.
But in some ways, we're not really doing it for the attention. It seems like we're doing it for the attention, but really it's more like we're doing it so that we have an outlet for these
100%.
Things that are not appropriate anywhere else.
Right.
And I really do believe that. Like, I really, in some way, I think that is what art is for. Not to be like, oh, what we're doing here is art. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if what I make is art. All I know is that, like, yeah, thank you. Like what we do, it's like we make it because we have something inside us that we need an outlet for. Like, it's just like you said, like, I'm going to write this song because I just have to get it down on paper, right?
Yeah.
So like it has to happen. And then for the people, if it does speak to someone, God willing, it speaks to someone, then they have an opportunity in receiving it to take whatever is going on inside of them and experience it through that thing that you created. Like, that's what this whole thing is really for. Like, I think people have this idea where it's like, oh, I'm going to make this song because I want to say this thing, and then people will think this thing because I've said this thing. And it's like, it's not like engineering. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
I mean, yeah, it's almost not, this sounds so not like what I'm trying to say. It's almost like the lyrics don't matter. They do matter. But like, like how you're getting it out or how you're saying it or the emotion behind what you're saying, I feel like matters so much more. Like it could be the dumbest word in the world, but if you're singing it with conviction and you're actually like feeling when you're saying it, other people are going to recognize that feeling coming through it.
Yes. Yeah, I know what you mean. There's something about, because you're trying to communicate a feeling, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, can you do that with just the words? You can. That's what poetry is for. With music that has words, the words are an important element, but there's also the feeling, right? And you can, just like acting, you can say a line an infinite number of ways and communicate with one line an infinite number of things. So I don't know where that lands us, but like, yeah. It's pretty, yeah.
It's cool. I dig it.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite things ever.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But like, kind of, I want to ask you some more questions about like how the band got together, but I want to say one last thing kind of about this art thing, because like you love clearly like some really like heavy and like dark shit, and I do too, and I think I don't know, like I think it can be sometimes controversial. People think that it's like a celebration of something evil or a celebration of something dark. But I really, this is going to sound so hedonistic, but like when you're creating things, I feel like it's really important that there shouldn't be any moralizing about it. It's like that when you're creating something, that is the playground where you need to experiment with these things.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of the only appropriate place for it, right? Like if you, I'm gonna sound like a psychopath. Like if I want to like talk about blowing up or getting angry, violence or, lust or all of these things like that maybe exist, like the monsters inside of me. If I want to like address those things, really the only place for that is maybe in a creative outlet, not like, to another person or like acting these things out in the real world. Like obviously you can't be doing that, but like in a creative outlet, I feel like, I'm not saying there's no lines, but I do think like we need to give it a little more leeway, because it's like, this is sort of where it's this realm, it's this dream world where we have to encounter these spirits. You know what I mean?
It, for sure. I've definitely written lyrics where like, I'm like, ooh, that doesn't like, it really doesn't align with like what I believe or like how I actually feel about that. But I'm like, but it sounds sick, or like it just sounds good, or it flows with the song or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're describing it as like a dream sort of realm, or like sandboxy is like so accurate, because it's like where else am I going to talk? So like we have a song called Grim. It's about it. I mean, whatever. It's gonna ruin the tell you what's in the sausage now, but like, so it's a first person account of the Grim Reaper, like just on his day to day, as if his job is like a 9 to 5, right? That's the whole thing. And when I was writing lyrics for it, I was writing some really just like fucked up stuff, and I was like, maybe not this, but I had to get through those to get to the stuff that actually was like fine and good. And I don't know, and it wouldn't have happened if I wasn't letting my mind sort of drift and like be a little bit messed up, I guess, just to play around and find the right things that like I wanted to say. But yeah, I agree. It's just I was talking to Mike. It's just a place like where you're allowed to do it, just kind of like being on stage. You know what I mean? Like it's just, these are the places to do it. So it's important that you do it.
I think sometimes too, like I think we get a little uncomfortable when we realize that those spirits like do exist inside some of us. And it doesn't mean that's your identity. It just means, okay, that is a part of you that needs to be dealt with and addressed. And then maybe there's something in it we can harness, right? But we don't let that spirit like take the driver's seat, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
You flirt with it a little bit.
I mean, you got to interact, right?
Yeah.
With it. I guess that's kind of what I was saying. Let's go back to, okay. So your musical journey has started. You're playing guitar, you're singing, you're learning some of these songs, you're getting better doing that on your own. When did, Chris, your friend who's drums, when did he kind of come into the situation? And let me know too if you need to be out of here at a certain time.
I don't. We're good.
Okay.
I might need to run to the bathroom in a second. But
no, you're fine. Yeah.
So, Christian, the newest member of the band, guitar player, he and I learned guitar like parallel, like the same time, kind of. And so he's my best friend, and we very early on started like just hanging out and playing guitar together and like helping each other improve, like in those like really early like stages of learning. And eventually we were like, let's like learn a song together. So we did that, and we both sang it, and it was like fun. And then we were like, we should like try and start a band. Oh, what should we call the band? And so we had like this high school band, not even worth saying the name of, but we like just played a bunch of covers.
You're not going to tell me the name?
It was called Kickback.
Okay.
It sounds like Nickelback to me now, but
I mean, yeah.
So
it's just one of the things that I'll ask people is like, what was your first band's name? And they say it in like the realms of all the ones that are out there. That's not like super offensive.
Well, that's
you built it up like it was like the most cringy thing.
No. Well, that's comforting, but like, so then we just sort of put out feelers of like, oh, we need someone to play bass, someone to play drums, and we found a guy who could play bass guitar, and then he, I think, knew Chris and was like, "Oh, I know Chris. He's just a person who has a drum set. I'm pretty sure he can." And so we just started jamming then, and then that was like early high school, and we all like we played a bunch of like local like cover gigs and stuff like that, and then towards the end of high school we stopped doing it a little bit more, and then we all drifted sort of apart for a little while, but all the while still sending like riff ideas or music or whatever, just back and forth and back and forth. And we actually had a whole group message where all we would do, so me, Chris, and Christian would just send band name ideas. And I wish I could find it. I think it's a group me somewhere where it's probably over 200 just band names. And it would be as like silly as just like, yeah, sure. And just like sending the name of like a drink or like a beer or like whatever. And there's some terrible ones in there.
Oh my gosh.
And then, so we were all in contact as friends and as like musicians still. I remember there was a time in high school. So this guy who was like really, really popular, like the star of the show basically at our high school, on the football team and everything, he ended up getting cancer and dying, right? And
Wait, how old was he?
Dude, I think he had graduated. He may have been a freshman in college, but
this is when you guys were in college that you found out about.
No. We're still in high school.
Oh, shoot.
That guy's younger brother was our grade level. So like we knew what was like going on and stuff like that. And so that guy's older brother ends up passing away. And that day, like everyone sort of like in our grade and like the whole school just sort of like took a pause and like really like reflect on stuff. And Chris asked me, he was like, "Hey man, like what do you want to do like with the rest of your life?" And I was like, I mean, like what do you mean? And we were just talking about like, let's continue to make music. Like, let's just keep going. Like we have to. And so Chris goes to college, Christian goes to college. I go to the boot camp, and we still keep in contact. I'm still practicing. Chris is still practicing. And then when I got out and moved back here to come to school, the plan was always like, whenever we're back in the same area, we'll just start doing music again. And so I moved back. I moved in with Chris. We immediately started playing, just playing and writing with just the two of us. So it was like a weird White Stripes, Royal Blood sort of situation. Completely ripped off their idea of like getting a bass amp, splitting my signal octave down into the bass amp.
Oh, no way.
So we did that for like the first close to a year, I think.
And you were playing bass with the drum?
No. I was playing guitar.
Okay.
Through a signal splitter, one into my guitar amp and everything, and then the other one, an octave pedal down into a bass rig. And there's a pedal that Boss makes that it will, if you play all 6 strings, it'll only take the lowest note and octave that. So it was basically like if I played a chord, it would only double the root note.
Oh, that's very cool.
It was pretty sick.
I'm so bad with gears, so I'm glad you're explaining all this to me.
Dude, you're fine. That was like such a breakthrough. That was so cool.
That's awesome.
And then after, we'd always toyed around of like a bass player, with the idea of it. And I put out flyers at one point. We auditioned a couple people. It was fine, but we were also like, this isn't super necessary right now. And maybe we just like didn't get along with the dudes as much as we would have liked. And so we just kept just the two of us. And then when we played a gig with Chay, prior to your joining, I forget what the name of the venue was. It's fine.
Gosh, I'm sure they would know.
100%. But this guy came with, one of our friends brought her friend to come to the show, and it was Mark. And after the show, Mark was like, "Hey, like I make music too. Do you guys want to jam some time or whatever?" And we're like, "Yeah, sure." So we came over like with a bass guitar and everything, effectively auditioned, and we were like, "Okay, yeah, like this is perfect." So then we were a 3-piece, and we had this fun little fact of like, by the way, there's like a ghost member who still has a spot in the band who's Christian, but he moved to California. So we're like, so if he moves back / when, like he's still in the band, but he's just not here. So it was like, all right. And then so finally, this summer Christian moved back.
Oh
and
my gosh.
So we're a 4-piece now, and so it's really nice to have like all three of us together again.
That's
obviously
awesome.
plus Mark. We're all one unit now. But like I don't know, it's just so sick because we're all best friends.
Oh,
we
that's
just
amazing.
happen to also be playing music.
That's so cool. So was Christian helping you write music long distance this entire time?
No. So, I mean, we still like chatted and talked about guitars and stuff like that and like practicing and learning. But music wise, it was pretty much just me and Chris back and forth as like the main dudes writing. And then since Mark has been contributing and now Christian's contributing also, but he and I would just like send each other like, oh, look at this cool guitar came out, or like just like regular conversation and stuff.
But you were sending files, like when you said you were singing and you were recording yourself singing, you were sending that to Chris.
Yeah, for the most part. I think he and I were sort of, not that anybody else isn't serious, but like we were definitely bit by the bug like really hard and just like writing all the time and just like generating as much like musical content as we possibly could. And ended up here basically.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you even when you were playing just you and Chris, you knew that at some point you wanted Christian to come back and you guys would all play together. That's
and we were like, yeah, fuck it. And you can play bass if you want or like whatever. And
Yeah.
then we ended up getting Mark. And so we were like, I was like, hey, good news. You can actually play
can
your
actually
real instrument.
play
like, you
guitar.
wanted. Yeah. So that's cool.
And you guys both started playing guitar at the same time.
Yep.
Wow, that's cool.
It took two wildly different paths. Like we
Yeah.
both went like Jack Johnson, John Mayer, and then I like hard right turned at Slayer and he hard left turned at the Grateful Dead, basically is what happened.
Oh, that's right, because you said jam bands
was
his thing. Wow.
Yeah.
Are you guys going to be doing any sort of like jams on stage at all? Or do you guys are incorporating that into your practice? Or
We not as of right now. I'm sure we will eventually. Right now, it's just sort of like fitting Christian in and deciding what we're going to do with like what the show already is, and just moving around what needs to be moved around, and like smoothing everything out.
Yeah.
Once we have like one or two shows with all four of us like under our belt, I'm sure something will come out like that.
Is this Pie Shop show the first show that he's going to be playing?
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, dude, dude, this is going to be a really fun
gonna be a
show.
banger.
Because we've got Careless Flight is dropping their single, which I got to hear a little of. I don't know if you've heard any of it yet.
No.
It sounds so sick.
Dude, nice.
And then you guys are going to be playing with Christian for the first time ever?
First time live ever. Yeah.
Wow. That is
All
so
four of us.
cool. Yeah. And then
Are you guys dropping?
Yeah. We've got music coming out that we've been working on for so long, and we're slowly dripping some stuff out. We performed at Jam and Java, and we got some stems from that we're like releasing as like live tracks.
I love that.
Which our sound engineer Mike Whiteman, who's the one who did Careless Flight single. Phenomenal sound engineer. The dude is an absolute wizard. I cannot recommend him enough. The dude is amazing. He's got so much fun equipment too. Like he'll record you on like tape analog if you want. Like he's got some of the weirdest equipment, but he can record stuff live and it sounds he's an absolute wizard. He's amazing. I've known him for a while now. He's a personal friend of mine. Anyway, so I don't know. I don't think we're releasing anything. We're trying not to release anything close to that date, so we're trying just kind of letting Careless Flight have sort of that day as their release date. I think we might be releasing something a week earlier or a week after, but it's a big time for us releasing things just in general because it's mostly for me because I'm not on any of the Spotify music.
Yeah.
Well, we did just release one of the live tracks on Friday, just kind of we didn't make a big hullabaloo about it because it's a little sloppy. It sounds really good, honestly, for a live track, I think. But I'm just excited that it's like, yay, I'm finally going to be on the vocals for the our Chay tracks.
I'm sure that's been huge for you.
It's big.
It's a lot of validation too.
Yeah,
like, it's like putting the stamp of like, no, I am fronting this band. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
it's exciting. It's exciting too because. Yeah, the sound of the band, it's naturally going to change when you get a new singer, and I really like the way it sounds now, and the guys seem to really like it too. So Yeah, that show is just going to be so awesome. I'm really, really, really pumped. Like, I really want to see if we can pull all the stops and get as many people as possible there. And I've never played at Pie Shop before.
Oh, you haven't?
So,
dude,
yeah.
it's fun. I describe it as like how I've described it to Christian is of all the DC venues, I would say it's probably my favorite just because of,
Really?
like, the size is perfect. It for like 3 local bands, right? It's if you fill the room, it feels perfect. Even if it would be like slightly emptier, it would still feel great. The stage is great. It sounds so good. We at our last show there, we just put up 2 GoPros. So we're gonna try and do this again. I think like one was just clipped to right next to one of the monitors, and then one behind the drum set. And the sound just from that onto the GoPro sounded really good.
Really?
And so we were like, ooh, maybe. So we're gonna consider setting up a bunch of GoPros to record our set, and then like multi-camming it and maybe like uploading it to YouTube or something like that.
That's awesome. That's a great idea.
I think that'd be cool. We've been working on music.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. So what's in the works now?
So there is a new song coming. We're striving to have it out before the Pie Shop, but we're not going to be able to. So we're currently organizing something later in April with a couple other bands that will probably drop it for that one.
For a release show.
For that single.
Nice.
I've tracked guitars. There's like a placeholder bass part, and Chris is gonna track drums this weekend. So that'll be fun. We're DIYing it. And we're gonna use the basement of that where we practice for drums.
I was gonna ask you where you were doing the tracking.
Yeah.
And the sound is okay there.
Well, we're gonna find out. It should be fine. It's a nice like open room, but it's not like crazy. And we're gonna bring a bunch of blankets and do whatever we have to do. But
sure, yeah.
And then we've also just finished writing another song, so it's totally done. We're gonna play both of those at the Pie Shop.
Nice.
2 new songs, and then we'll start probably tracking for the second song sometime in the near future.
Cool.
But we just like put a bow on it. This is like what the song completely written.
Hell yeah. So you should have 2 songs coming up pretty soon. I mean, April is coming up pretty quickly. So 2 songs coming out. When you were DIYing the Grim EP, where did you record that?
In our house. So Chris and I lived in just like a little split level house in Annandale, and Chris tracked drums, literally like a room this size.
Wow.
I just ran everything out to my computer in my bedroom, and then did that and mixed it all, and then I just recorded guitars the same way, amp in the other room with a mic on it, ran it. It was so loud. It was horrible, but I mean, it worked. So, just in our house, basically.
Wow. And you didn't have any trouble with like neighbors or having to do it at certain times, or?
We tried our best to only do it between like 10 a.m. and like 4 p.m.
Oh my gosh.
So
it's
hopefully,
like working hours too.
Yeah.
So it's like you got to have time to do that.
Yeah. So like hopefully nobody was like busy or whatever. But when I would like drive home and get out of the car, or like as I was driving up the street, I could hear Chris drumming. So I was just like, oh man, like our neighbors despise us, but we don't live there anymore, so it's fine.
Nice. And you never heard anything from anybody, right?
No, Chris got a compliment one day leaving the house. Way. Somebody was walking their dog, and he was like, hey, it sounds great, and just like kept going.
Oh my gosh. That's so nice of them.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And then vocals was, I guess, a similar situation.
That was just me standing next to the computer. I like strung up something to hold like 2 like duvets, like just like bedspreads to like sound deaden it. And that was okay. I think I can do much better job with vocals this time around.
What did you use for like a vocal mic?
SM7.
Okay.
Yeah. It was good enough for Michael Jackson. So.
Well, listen, I mean, listening to the tracks, I was like, and you mixed all of that yourself. Mm-hmm. And you mastered
all of it, yeah.
Wow. How did you learn how to do that?
YouTube.
Oh my God. Are you serious?
Yeah. I know what I want it to sound like, right? And I have like the raw what it sounds like now. It's the in between is just like so frustrating to like not be able to get there. And so I just watch a whole bunch of tutorials. Like,
wow.
You know the band Periphery?
Yeah.
Okay, so their bass player, Nolly Get Good, is like a really, really like world class like mix engineer.
Oh, okay.
And he has videos of just like, hey, here's a 2-minute song. I'm gonna like masterclass walk through the whole thing of how I do it, like from square one. And so there's a bunch of stuff like that that I found online. Other than that, just getting probably lucky with intuition, but like just tutorials.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy because I just sending tracks to my friends. I would watch like some of these mixing videos, and a buddy of mine a while back, one of my college friends, we were trying to write music together, and we were sending each other's tracks, and I was like, how good can I make this sound? And it's just like, I don't know. I couldn't crack that. I definitely couldn't. I mean, there's so much that goes into it.
Yeah.
So much.
Like you never think that like chopping so much bass out of your voice would make it sound better. You know what I mean? Or like just all like the little things, or like guitars will not sound good unless you remove a bunch of the low end. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So it's just interesting.
Now, are you this is, I don't know, this is probably not going to be interesting to anybody else, but like when you're recording guitars, are you going direct in? Are you doing amp? Like,
the Grim EP was, I did all of it live, like amp.
Cool.
Just like microphone against the cone.
Nice.
And then I bought like an amp sim plugin that I was like messing around with. I wanted it just purely for practice, so I could just plug into the computer and not make a bunch of noise.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this sounds so good. And so I went back and like cleaned up a few things with that. So there's a mix of of it on that EP. And I'm probably just because the turnaround time for this song was so fast, I recorded it with plugins, and I'll probably clean it up with plugins again, like right before it's all done. It's just I like my living situation now. It's just so much easier and way less annoying for none of my roommates are musicians now, so so me cranking an amp would probably not go over very well.
I see.
Singing at home is also very strange currently, but I don't care.
How does that work?
I'll just try and aim for a time when most people aren't at the house and just.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How many roommates do you have?
I have 4. There's 5 in the house.
It's Northern Virginia, right? That's how you.
Which actually might not technically be allowed, but the 5th roommate's a dog.
It's an animal.
No. Yeah. So and everybody's really cool, and they're fine with me playing guitar, which is nice.
But yeah, it's like you want to be respectful too, obviously. Yeah, you don't want to be a bad roommate. So
yeah, I think I might try and use our practice space for vocals also, but I'm really weird and really
wait for practicing vocals or recording?
For recording.
Recording, yeah.
Yeah. I like when I record, I think I have to record vocals by myself because it's like I have a mental like standard of like or like what I want it to sound like, how I want to do it, and if it's not quite there, I'll just go until I like get it there. And I have a loose idea of like what I want to do of like this is here double tracks and then like these harmonies, and doing it with somebody else I'm really nervous of how like I think I'd step all over like the other person's feet or whatever, so I will probably do vocals like on my own again. It's just worked a little bit better for me, so yeah.
Do you feel like let's say we're still playing music, obviously you're not going to stop playing music, and you're moving along, and you're doing more stuff, gaining more momentum, let's say, given the opportunity to work with a sound engineer, would that be something that you guys would hope to do? Or are you at the point where you're like, I am confident that I want to make it sound the way I want, given your preference?
I would absolutely work with like an engineer and like a producer, basically. It's just not expensive to do it this way right now.
It's super and it sounds, I mean, what you guys have done sounds really, really good. So,
thank you.
I just can't imagine how much time that takes.
That was exhausting. I tell you what, one of the craziest things, this isn't we didn't fight as a band or anything, but like putting like so much effort into like mixing and being like, okay, and then sending it to the guys and being like, listen to this. This is like just where it is right now.
Yeah, yeah.
And then being like, what if you did this? What if you did this? Or like everyone has like the 2 cents or whatever, and it's just like, dude, I just did that for 3 hours, and it's like I just wanted you to listen to it. But eventually I was like, okay, we're not doing that. I rough mixed everything, and then like got it a little bit closer to what I wanted it to sound like, and then I sent it to everybody, and I was like, I want you to, in one note, write down the title of each song and then what you would change about that one song. So then I had like a short list for all of them with like 2 or 3 things, went back, took those into consideration or like made them or like whatever, and then was like, okay, here they are again, listen. And we basically just did that until everybody was happy with it.
Wow.
Which probably wasn't the most efficient way to do it, but it worked and everyone was happy.
Well, I think like regardless of whether you're working with a sound engineer or doing it yourself, depending on what the dynamic of the band is. I mean, I know for us, everybody is giving their feedback and everybody needs to be heard.
Yeah.
So I think that's happening regardless. So again, the more band members you have, I guess the more tedious it gets. But
Yeah.
I was laughing with Doug about that when he was here last time because it's like 3 band members. It's a lot easier to plan practice and do things. And it's like, I've got 5. It's like, oh my gosh. But do you think, how is the songwriting process going to change now that you've got 4 members in the band, I guess?
I would expect it to stay reasonably similar, if not the same, because like what usually happens, a couple of songs we have written just like live, all of us like just jamming, but the majority of everything so far has been like, hey, I have this idea, it's like got bones and muscle on it, and then like presenting it and being like, how would you guys like to, like, do you like it? If everybody likes it, it's like, cool, how now do we put skin and hair and clothes on it? Or, you know what I mean? Like what like small things do we need to tweak or change to make it fit or like sound like us? Which is really cool, I think, because I mean, it's the only way we've done it. So it's the only way I know how to do it. And so then if somebody has like this good idea, it's still their good idea. We've just like modified it slightly.
When people are bringing ideas to the table, is it usually start with you writing a riff or maybe having like a lyric or a vocal melody idea and then adding stuff on top of that? Is Chris coming in with music as the drummer or how does do people have like, oh, this is sort of my song where it's sort of like they came up with the majority of it and everybody puts stuff on? Like how does that kind of play out?
So what has usually been the case is I'll have a riff and then like chords for a chorus written, and I'll just like record it really fast and double track it. And then I'll put what I've like sort of been referring to as like placeholders. So like I'll record a super simple bass line just to make it sound like there's and then I'll program just like some MIDI drums that has more or less what I think the beat should sound like at that section.
Yeah.
And then if everybody likes it, then Chris will like jam it live or something like that, and then Chris will proceed to be like, this is impossible to play, or like that beat should actually be this, or like you actually wanted the kick on too, or like whatever.
There's a bunch of like drummer memes out there where it's like when guitarists try to write like drum parts for you or something.
Dude,
and it's like
so
impossible.
Real. It's so real. And I put double kick on everything, and he's like, I can't. No, we're not doing that. I'm like, all right.
Does he use a double kick ever or no?
He does.
Okay.
He's starting to do it more and more. I obviously have been pushing for it, but like it's just sort of like whenever he wants for like fills and stuff. Yeah. But I think these next couple of songs, there are sections that will be like the core of the beat is a double kick. And yeah, that's usually how it works. And then like I don't, if the riff is just like super sick, I will present it just as like this, here's what it sounds like with like no vocals, whatever. But almost all the time I have like a melody in my head for like at least like the verse and like the chorus or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just like being like, hey, this sounds like this. You're gonna have to trust me. It's gonna sound good later. Or like one thing that happened yesterday at practice is they were like, oh, this riff is like just really repetitive, and I was like, yes, but there's going to be vocals on it that are like totally different, and it will sound like way more like robust and like fleshed out or whatever. But that's sort of it. We'll just sort of do that. We have a saying where we about like the decision making process of whether or not we want to do something, or like if a song's good, is we just say, hey, if it fucks, it fucks. And so like well, somebody will send something in like the group message, and then if somebody responds with just like that fucks. And you're like nice, cool.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
You got the A+. That's awesome. That's cool. We should play a little bit of music is what we should do.
Day started great and I thought I would win, till I had a thought and it got in the way again. Time moves slow with nothing else to do. I'd sit and dream up ways to stop thinking of you. And I felt great at the start, all the sunlight till I got drunk and I dialed and never again.
This is Wasting Time by Please Knock.
You bring back the magic right, all the wrongs that won't seem so tragic now. Oh, am I wasting time again? Oh, am I wasting time again?
Front to back, or I was like, I'm just gonna listen to music while.
That's sick.
So this is Wasting Time. I was just saying that while you were gone. This one, I don't know. It's almost ballady compared to the other ones.
Yeah. The idea with this was that one be like the the power ballad sort of. It was also like I wanted something that I could sort of focus on vocals at certain parts and like do some harmonies and stuff like that for the recording. So that was sort of a playground for that. The song was.
I really like the verse, and then into the chorus is really, really great. Like, it's got such a great progression.
Oh, sick! Thank you, man.
Yeah, this like right before, because this is like the pre-chorus, I guess you would call it. Yeah, I love how it starts. It starts with the verse, and then it amps it up for the pre-chorus, and then once you get to this part, yeah, such a great like catchy. It's sick.
It's like 4 words as the chorus.
I really
6.
I really like how, yeah. I think that's great. I think when you have like a chorus where it's just like, the words and everybody could sing along, like that's a recipe for a really great song. One of the, another great thing that you guys are really good at is like every song is under 4 minutes.
Are they really? That's not planned. That's sick. That's funny.
No, it's something that we'll talk about where it's like, guys, maybe we need to try to shorten. It's like every song's like 5 minutes long. It's like, guys, we need to trim. We need to trim.
I've been pushing for. I want that like 8 or 9 minute like proggy, just like go off in all these different directions. And I sent an idea to the guys about that, and I was like, so what do you think about this? And they were kind of like, oh yeah, like cool, I guess.
That's Chris right there doing the Chris impression.
That one did not fuck, apparently.
Well, now that you've got Christian in the band, I feel like he'd be more into like the proggy, like let's just jam for like fucking 9 minutes.
Yeah, and just like sections where we can like just do like harmonized guitar like leads or something like that would be pretty sick too.
So I'm pretty sure when I was listening to Grimm today, that one's got like a good scream in there, right?
I think so. Yeah. Towards the end or something.
Let's see if we can find it. I want to get it good. The way this starts is really good too.
Ready or not, baby, here comes a reaper.
Yeah, so that's like still singing, but there's like
Yeah.
a lot of grit added to it.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it.
Hard on your heels like a zealot believer.
That like on Zealot, that's just everything's tight, just like relaxing the throat and
Chasing you down is quite telling your mercy.
And you're singing on notes. I don't know if
Yeah.
you're aware of that, but I mean, clearly, like there's notes for that. That's something that I have trouble with is like, because I'm so used to doing the fry, which is no note.
yeah.
It's like, how do I add more?
I do not discriminate.
How do I add more grit to like the ones that actually have notes? Because I'm used to singing clean so often.
All living things I am tattooing lemonade.
That's a little yelly, like almost like nasally. Now that I think about it, maybe.
All right, let's skip ahead. You said there was like closer to the end, we get like a. Is this the one that has like a really big
At the
Yeah.
end, I think. Oh, there's also there's a lot of screaming and fisticuffs.
Maybe that's the one I was thinking of.
I was so proud of that when I heard that little stop,
The drop?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I love that. When we do that in a song, it's like everybody drops out. I don't know why. It's the coolest thing in the world.
I thought I was so clever. I was like, this is gonna be sick.
It's amazing when it's like, it doesn't even matter if anybody else likes it, but if there's something that you write into a song and you're just like, I fucking love this part, it's like, it doesn't even matter. Who cares? If
Exactly.
nobody likes it, it's just like, dude, I love it. There we go. Wait, let's go back. There was some foam of harmonies there, too. I thought there was.
It was right where you skipped. It was like just before that, I think.
Here? Or is it further back?
It's here.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I don't know how you write harmonies, but like I'm so like not good at harmonizing. I'll sing right the main line, and then there's a scream after this, I think, right? Oh, just this, just that.
Oh, there we go.
Well,
That sounded like Fry.
did it?
Maybe, I don't know.
Well,
Wait, I want to hear. Wait, hold on. But hold that harmony thought. I want to hear this last scream. It's short, but it's a good one. Oh, that's great.
I had to. That one took a few takes.
Really?
Yeah. Like it was always either like slightly too long or like too short or whatever. But yeah. In Fisticuffs, there the pre-chorus is all screams. And that dude live, that is just like managing my air to like get through all of that is tough.
Is that one of those where you feel like you're getting lightheaded because you're running out of air? Or
Yes.
something?
Yeah.
Oh,
like
no.
every time. And so I've like played around with ways to like make it work.
What was the toughest thing about that scream we just heard in Grimm?
Figuring out where to place it, I think. Like
Timing wise?
No, like low or high or what.
in your
I was
body.
just kept moving it like up and down. I don't in the vague ether of my brain. Like like lower sounded fine. I wanted it to be like high and like shrieky kind of almost, and it just didn't sound good, or like I couldn't get a good enough take. And so yeah, just like over and over again to I don't know. I think I ended up with like 2 or 3 that sounded reasonable, and I just like picked one of those 3.
You were looking for a certain like timbre or sound.
Timbre, yes.
I see.
Like
that you were going
the
for.
characteristic, yeah.
Fun.
Timbre is a word I need to remember to use more. That's perfect.
What about you were saying something about harmonies when you're trying to come up with harmonies.
Oh, so if I want to do like a held out thing with a bunch of different parts, I'll sing the main line and then I'll open up like a synthesizer and just build a chord like with a piano and then put each of those onto its own track and then just record singing along to one line and then replace that and then go through until it's like all voice.
Oh, wow.
But I can't just like pull harmonies out of.
Oh, sure.
Like
Yeah.
I can hear exactly what I want to sound, but translating that into what's coming out, like I think that's just like musical like knowledge of like knowing notes by their or I don't know, like being like, oh, I want to do a like a fourth here or whatever. I just can't do that. I have to like tap out the scale and be like 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's well, hey, that's like the most practical way to do it, right? I know it's the same thing with me with harmonies. Like for me, what it's usually been is like we're writing material and I'm writing vocal melodies and I'm writing lyrics, and then it's like, hey, like, are we gonna do harmonies? And it's like, oh yeah, I want there to be harmonies. But like a lot of times I'm not really thinking about them until I'm sitting down and I'm like, yeah, there should be a harmony here. And now I have to decide like what should that harmony be. And it's the same thing where it's like, all right, here I am on the piano. Is it a high harmony? Is it a low harmony? Is it a third? Is it a fifth? Like what is it? You know? And that usually takes some sitting down. Sometimes I'll hear something in my head where I'm like, oh, I think it should sound something like this. But recently, which is definitely not a bad problem to have, the guys have been like throwing music at me and I'm like, okay, crap, like I've got to come up with all these vocal melodies and I haven't really had time to been like, okay, like where are the harmonies going to be? That was one of the huge benefits of working with Dave Mallon at Innovation Station because he's pretty good with vocals and he had like some suggestions for harmonies, which were just really helpful because I brought in some ones that were great and then I had some ideas for others where it was like, yeah, there should be a harmony there, but I don't know if that's the harmony. And so we had to experiment with a little bit. And that kind of feedback was just really good for me because, I just, what you said resonated with me where it's like, I definitely can't just pull something out of the ether. Even if I know that there needs to be a harmony there, I'm like, what is it exactly though?
Yeah.
So, I want to hear this fisticuffs thing really quick.
Okay, yeah.
So we've got, you'll have to help me find it in the song.
Okay.
But you said it's like in the pre-chorus, there's like a lot of...
So right after the vocals start, because we do a pre-chorus and then right back into a verse. So you can skip ahead like 15 seconds maybe, I think.
So this is like the verse, right?
Yeah, so that'll happen again before the chorus too.
I think this might have been the one I was listening to that made me think of Corey Taylor.
When I just heard that, I was like, I bet this is the one that he thought I sounded like Corey Taylor.
I want to go back. Just like listening to the verse into the chorus, it's just very... I'm sorry, pre-chorus. So this... There's definitely some Slipknot in there for sure, in the best way possible. Like, it does not sound. I mean, I don't know. It doesn't sound like a ripoff to me, but it sounds really good.
It'll be those like echoey parts in the chorus there. We're gonna try and do that live because Christian can sing too.
Nice.
So that's gonna be. I don't know. It's just so nice having another like like a stage director kind of thing, like another person to do something with.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, great, you can do this. Like,
yes.
And then here, do that. That'll be so good.
So, talk to me a little bit about harmonies now, because was Mark doing some before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mark's doing backup vocals.
Nice.
They have slightly different registers. Like, so I think we haven't really ironed out what it's gonna look like in the long term with like harmonies and stuff like that. I would love to just like sit down and like actually be like, okay, cool, we're all gonna hit this and hold this here or whatever. But for now, it's just gonna be a little simple. We're planning basically a practice without Chris because he's gonna be out of town, and we were like, ooh, that would be really good to just sit down
and do vocals,
in like not even plugged in guitars, just like like unplugged electric guitars, and just like make sure the vocals are all set.
Yeah. Nick has been taking like online lessons. Like, do you know who Chris Lipe is?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he bought his like course, and he's like learning it because he's like, I don't know how to sing at all, but he really wants to do harmonies,
dude.
And I'm like, yes, please. Like it's really going to up, I think, the live performance to the next level to have that. And it would just be so great to some of the new recordings that we have coming out have some really fun harmonies. And if he can do that, it would be so awesome. But I really do think, to your point, it's like, I think he and I might need to get together and practice some of that.
Yeah.
Because it's gotta be practiced.
Yeah, it's gotta be practiced. It's gotta be tight too. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like if the vocal and backup vocal aren't like really well practiced and rehearsed, I feel like it's really something that's really easy to pick up on as like a audience member, being like, oh, that's slightly off.
Yeah.
Whereas like other stuff can be like more forgiving. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, especially like if you're the only one singing, right? It sort of doesn't matter what you kind of do, but like
That's true.
I mean, not that with a grain of salt, but like
no, but you have more like freedom in a certain sense
yeah.
to play, where it's like but during the harmonies, it's like everybody's got to do their thing.
Yeah. Get to your mic stand.
Yeah. Last thing I kind of want to touch on that I also talked to Doug about a little bit was what you guys met Careless Flight. They kind of saw you guys play and then invited you to a gig, and I think that's where the guys in Chay saw you play first, I think.
Yeah, that's the right timeline.
Okay, so so you and Chris are playing together,
mm-hmm.
and what was your first gig?
Our first gig. What was our first gig? We started doing open mic nights. There's a music studio called Crescendo in Falls Church. They were doing like it was like Thursday nights or something like that. Like, hey, come in and do like open mics. But everyone there was a musician, and like they had like a sound guy and everything. It wasn't like open mic at a bar. It was very much like this is for people who are trying to like be artists and like performers and stuff like that.
Wow.
And so they had like a drum set and amps and stuff like that. So we were able to play like actual like electric guitar and a full drum kit, whereas we had like messed around before, just like open mic nights and stuff with acoustic and like a cajon or like box drum or whatever. So those were like our first sort of like foray into like live full band stuff. And then we did one at George Mason, which was no one went to, which is fine. And that's just sort of how I think everything started, because we started doing all these open mics and then meeting other bands, and then they'd be like, oh, we're having gigs or like whatever. And so actually, it's a really good question. I don't know what would technically be our first gig. When we played with Careless Flight at Pie Shop the first time, where Chay saw us, that was our first one in DC.
Okay.
But we played one in Fredericksburg, Virginia.
No way.
That was crazy. Oh, this is a fun fact.
Okay.
So this is crazy. This is a good story. We through those open mics, right? The guy who puts it on got up with us and was like, "Hey, there's this guy who's looking for a live band to play at like an event, and like, would you be interested?" And we're like, "Okay." So we started talking to him, and he's like, "Yeah, like we wanted like a band to play like this thing. It's like a military thing," and or I was like, we're a rock band. Like, this is not like covers or whatever. And he's like, no, it's fine. It's like a military thing down in Fredericksburg. And we were like, oh, sweet. And in my brain, I'm thinking like a VFW, like community center like thing where we're just gonna be playing while people are like hanging out and like drinking beer or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So we drive down on like whatever Saturday it was, and I'm looking at the address, and I was like, why does that look so familiar? I was like, this looks so familiar. I don't know. And so I get into the parking lot, and it's Chris calls me. He's like, hey, this place is huge. And I was like, all right. So I pull in parking lot, and it's the Fredericksburg Convention Center, like where they would have like a Comic Con or something, like that size of event. And I was like, what
Holy
is
shit.
this? And so Chris and I are like standing outside looking around. We're like, what's going on? And then I see a car open up, and a girl gets out in like an evening gown. I was like, what the hell is this? And then a Marine walks by in dress blues, and I was like, is this a wedding? Like, what is this? And then I noticed more and more Marines, and I was like, Chris, are we about to play the Marine Corps ball? And he was like, I don't know. And I walked up and looked at like the entryway, and I was like, we're about to play the Marine Corps ball.
Oh
and
my God.
So we walked in while they're eating dinner. Like it was like over 1,000 people for sure. None of them wanted us to be there. And so we're set up on a stage, and this guy comes out and is like, whatever, like live entertainment. These guys are called Please Knock. They're from like Northern Virginia, whatever. And like it's like golf clap, but like pin drop quiet kind of. And so we just started playing. We played like just what we had been playing, but like
It's
plus
just
a
the
few
two-
covers.
it's the two of you
two of
guys.
us, fucking two of us. I also had to talk at a certain point because like I don't know, like I have to talk to the crowd, and so I was like trying to make jokes that I thought Marines would laugh at. It just didn't work. And I said something about like my whole family's like Marines, and so I was like, oh, like I finished like our like last song, but before we said it, I was like, I said like Happy Birthday Marines or something like that because it's like for the Marine Corps birthday. And like no one even like looked up from their dinner. And it was we played for like 45 minutes, and
my gosh.
so then we just packed up and left. And fast forward to like, so that was a long time ago. That was probably close to 2 years ago, and maybe a year and a half ago. But like a year ago from now, I was on Hinge, like the dating app.
Yeah.
And this girl liked me and then messaged me and said, I have a crazy question for you. And I was like, okay. And she goes, are you in a band? And I was like, yes, I am. And she goes, did you play the Marine Corps ball in Fredericksburg? And I was like,
God.
I hate this so much. But it was crazy. We got paid for it. That was pretty sick.
Oh my
but
gosh.
dude, the pit in my stomach
Oh
it's
man.
huge, enormous room. Everyone's in like the fanciest uniforms that you've ever seen, and I was in a black t-shirt and jeans like this.
Who was the guy that watched you play and was like, "Oh, you guys should play the Marine Corps ball"?
So it was. I think he like lives around that area and came and saw us at like one of the things and was like, I think he was somehow the Marine in charge of like organizing that or something, and I think that there must have been some type of like, you guys need to like support the local community or like something like that. And then he was like, yeah, that works. Like rock band.
Oh my gosh.
And, dude, it was crazy.
Oh
I
my
forgot that
gosh.
happened until now. Like I have
so
repressed that
funny.
so far out of my mind.
No. Dude, you
Sounds like
gotta
that.
have him though. I bet that really cemented you and Chris together.
Oh,
Like, dude, we can do it. Like,
I will play to an empty room. Like no problem.
Yeah.
Now. It's just, yeah.
Doug was telling me that he saw you guys play. I don't know if it was like an outdoor event or
Yep.
something.
This was
and I
at-
think that's how he found out about you guys.
Yeah. It was at, it was like a little mini music festival at that recording studio outside in like the spring or something like that.
That was at Crescendo.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
and
okay.
we played like a little earlier, and then I think they were the last to play that night. But so we stuck around, and originally we were gonna like leave, but I was like, dude, like I think that's an actual rock band, because a lot of the other, it was like people doing pop songs and like whatever else, but we were like the only band that had played, and I was like, dude, I think we should watch them. Like we should stick around. And so we stayed to the end of the festival and watched them. And I'm super glad we did, because immediately after, like met him, and then Doug like DM'd us and was like, "Hey, we're trying to put together a show." And
No
then,
way.
So that's how it worked.
That's so funny.
But yeah, it's like as soon as they started playing, I was like, "We need to link up with them. Like we need to start doing stuff with them." So
That's so cool. And it's funny because the first time I saw Careless Flight play was when you guys played the Pie Shop with them and the people Psychologic,
oh yeah,
which was a little while ago. That was the first time I'd ever been to the Pie Shop. That was such a fun show. And then, yeah, so it's going to be really cool that the three of us are all playing there. I totally forgot to ask you, and this is the last thing I'll ask you because I could probably chat with you about random shit for like hours and hours and on end. But like, where does the name Please Knock come from?
fantastic question. Lean in for dramatic effect.
Yeah, that's right.
So as we had that group message just throwing names back and forth, right? For
Yes,
like years.
200 names.
Yeah. I think we were like, everything was like slightly innuendo. This day was like the theme of like dick jokes hidden in like band names.
Yes.
And somehow we got to like, Chris is the one who sent it. I distinctly remember Chris, he just sent, it just said, please knock. And we thought that was really good because 2-syllable names, easy to say, right? Or like chant or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I liked it because it could be like, this is going to be so esoteric and like bullshitty, but like, there's a door, right? You are behind a door. Please knock. It's like the reason why you want the privacy can be like anything. You know what I mean? I liked that because like originally it was like a haha, you're doing something like inappropriate, but I was like, but if you think about it, it sort of is just like, I need my space to like think or whatever. And so I was sort of like, that sort of is like writing music feels like you mentally seclude yourself to like be able to do this. And
Please
it's like
knock before entering.
Yeah. Yeah. And so there we go. And it's lost meaning to me now. It's just the band name.
It's just who we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's fun.
It's so funny. This doesn't mean anything to you at all. But when I first heard the name, I thought it was great because my brother and I had been working in the insurance roofing industry for about 2 years, where you have to knock on doors to basically make it's 100% commission paying job. You're only getting paid if you can get the insurance to pay for a roof, and then the homeowner decides to sign a contract with you, and then they put the roof on. That's when you finally get paid. It's 100%.
That's
so it's a very stressful job.
Yeah.
But like everything like about our lives for the past couple of years, like was about knocking doors and I just like, I was like, this band's called Please Knock. I was like, oh, my brother's like the only one who would think that's funny for a completely different reason. But I was like, I don't know how that fits in with rock music, but I was like, I really like the name. But I was thinking about this a couple days ago, and I was like, I was going to ask you, is there something related to the idea where it's sort of like a sarcastic joke, like please knock, as in like, you're going to knock my band, you're going to knock me, like,
oh, that's
like,
cool too.
Don't knock it till you try it type of a thing.
That's pretty sick.
Like, please, like, I don't give a fuck, like, please knock it, like, I don't give a shit, like, kind of a thing. I don't know.
No,
like,
yeah,
I didn't know if that was part of it, but I was like, it did seem like there were multiple innuendos going on.
Yeah, it also doesn't have to have one reason or like one thing behind it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like writing a song. It's like, here, this is what it is, and this is what it's about, or whatever. But it's like it can go through so many different filters and lenses to like mean something else to somebody else. So that's fine. But I have this really, I think it's a great merch idea, like for a shirt, but we'd get sued. To have the front say please knock and the back say someone out. So like, please knock someone out, like punch them. And I was like, dude, I love it, but no. And then we had a joke where we were like,
wait, why would that be like,
I guess
I've
it, like,
seen more violent things on
that's
t-shirts.
I guess it kind of incites violence, but like, good point. I've seen worse stuff.
Please knock
and then
someone
we were like, we could make a pink one for like girls or whatever, or like just not necessarily pink or whatever, but one that says please knock someone up. Like,
yes.
Yeah. We're like, oh, there's so much potential for
you got it. That would be so great. Please knock someone up. Please knock. I don't know. Please knock it if you try. I don't know. There's so many things you could do with that. That's pretty great. I love it though. And damn it, I meant to text you to be like, I need you to bring me a t-shirt.
Oh shoot.
Because I want to buy a t-shirt from you guys and I keep forgetting, but I'll definitely be able to do it at the show at least.
Yeah, for sure.
Cause I was like, I think I've had 2 opportunities now where I tried to get a shirt from you guys and I keep forgetting.
I'm a terrible front man. I need to just keep them in the car.
I mean, merch is like something that you do at the show. It's not something you do outside of time, but I need to start telling the people who come here to bring their merch so I can buy some merch off of them so that I can, that's a great time to have it.
Yeah.
And then like, hey, here's like what the shirt looks like or whatever. But
You could even do like stickers, like put stickers somewhere.
Yeah,
in
yeah,
your
yeah,
place
yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever.
I know once I get the new place too, I don't know. I'm at this crossroads now where I'm like, I should probably try to record a bunch of shit in this room before I move because it's going to be probably a month and a half before
you're ready
the
to do
room
it
even.
again. Yeah.
Because like this place does need a lot of work too. So anyway. Okay, the very last thing we're going to do is we're going to do show promo, right?
Okay. I hate this.
I know.
I am so bad at it.
It actually sucks.
You want to from the top?
We can if you want.
Oh, okay. Hey, it's Zach from Please Knock.
Do it again.
Go.
Let's please knock someone up.
Please knock someone up.
At the show.
Oh my gosh. Content is content.
All right, you go first.
Hey, it's Zach from Please Knock.
And I'm Dave with Chay Vicious.
Come see us live April 18th at the Pie Shop, supporting Careless Flight for their single release show.
Doors open at 7:30. Show starts at 8:30.
And you're going to go.
That's right. You will.